Hello everyone, X-Wall-Kill Bethelite here. And as the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses continues its decline, so too should be some of what I think are false beliefs or false concepts in regards to the cult. There's no reason to hang on to them anymore. Right? After a certain age, you don't need to believe in the tooth fairy anymore. If you lose your teeth, and you're 60 or 70 years old, it ain't because the tooth fairy came and stole them. It's because you all gum now, and you need some dentures. Jehovah's Witnesses, we got to talk about this whole brainwash thing. We got to talk about this brainwash thing because I think it's an excuse. It's something that makes people feel good. It's an excuse for total stupidity. Is to say this person has been brainwashed, therefore that explains why they're being an idiot. Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of them aren't brainwashed. Okay, so let's take, for example, how can you explain how a person joins a cult? There's no method of brainwashing a person when you knock on their door. When we were in that cult and we would knock on somebody's door and give them a magazine or offer them a Bible study, the person who let us in, the person that didn't know us from Adam and let us in their house, that was idiotic. We didn't brainwash them. How can you be brainwashed when you're just joining a cult? How can you be brainwashed when you first step foot in a Kingdom Hall? You had to be dumb enough to join it first before they could even start indoctrination, let alone brainwashing. There's no way a person who just joins a cult is brainwashed. Some of that is false. So you have a lot of people who were not born and raised in the cult. I was born and raised in the cult. I was giving talks at like 7. They had to go get a freaking stool out for me to stand on so I could be tall enough to reach the microphone to be able to give the little talks and whatnot. That's a person who I wasn't brainwashed, I was indoctrinated. I was raised to believe certain concepts. But a person who was not born and raised in the cult was not brainwashed. There ain't no way a person comes to your door asking, do you want a free Bible study? You don't know this person from Adam. You don't know if this person knows anything of what they're talking about, and you let them in and you start listening to what they have to say. And that's not brainwash. That's idiotic. You just let a complete stranger in your house. If some random person writes a letter and you read the letter and you just believe whatever the heck it says, that's not brainwashed. Most of the people I knew growing up who were older, they joined as adults. They weren't indoctrinated as children. They were a grown-ass adult who let some strange person in their house and just believe whatever the hell they said. That's idiocy. Even if you would look into the concept of brainwashing, that's something that would take time. It would take time to brainwash someone, right? So there's no way a person who joins the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses as an adult was already brainwashed when they started hearing Jehovah's Witnesses talking about The Holy Spirit is electricity. When they started hearing Jehovah's Witnesses talk about Jesus as Michael the Archangel, when they started hearing Jehovah's Witnesses back then talking about the end of the world was going to come around 1975, when they were believing that stuff, that was stupidity. That wasn't brainwashing. You don't read a magazine and now you're brainwashed. If there was a such thing, that would be something that would take place over a long period of time. A person who was a grown-ass adult who has already experienced life and already has a set amount of knowledge in their head is not going to just get washed out of their head, brainwashed out of it. If it were to occur, it would take years, so it would not explain how they joined the cult from the beginning. When you first walked in that hall, you weren't brainwashed. When you first opened up that watchtower and saw all that BS, you weren't brainwashed. When you first let somebody in your house you didn't know from Adam, you weren't brainwashed. Or even if you knew them. Back then, people were studying with people who could barely pronounce words. They were studying with people. Back in the day, General Motors was huge. It was a big factory, right? Where people are making car parts and putting cars together and whatnot. People were studying the Bible with freaking machine operators at freaking General Motors. Why the heck do you think a machine operator at General Motors is qualified to be some kind of Bible instructor? Is idiocy. People in my family, I was a kid, so I think that's what had occurred. Somebody they liked that worked at GM told them they figured it all out about the Bible and they just freaking believed it. That's stupidity. I know it sounds good to say, oh, they're brainwashed, that's why they're idiots. No, they were idiots. And maybe after that, they were brainwashed. As in, they were idiotic to join the cult. And then maybe you could say they were brainwashed further later. But they started off with stupidity. They were dumbasses first. And then what little was left may have got brainwashed out later. You don't start off brainwashed. Even if you are born in... There's nobody dumb enough. There's just this, well, I can't say because Jehovah's Witnesses are dumb enough to believe this concept that a person understands their profession, whether it be to teach the Bible or a person who is a doctor. They understand their profession as they continue to screw up. They learn more. So, for example, your doctor prescribes you medication. You take that medication, you grow a big freaking wart on the side of your head, and then you just sit back and say, well, I'm gonna go back to that same doctor because the light gets brighter and brighter as he continues to fuck up. The light gets brighter. The more he gave me medication, the medication screwed up. My eyes are now cross-sided. My tongue is permanently stuck to my nose. And now he knows not to continue to give me that medication. And that's the way doctors work. No, they have to have qualifications from the beginning. They don't experiment on you. This is what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. They're idiots. They're not brainwashed. You're an idiot if you believe a religious person this is their profession. The way that they learn their profession is by screwing up the doctrine. And once they screwed it up so bad, they know they got to go back and fix it. And this is light getting brighter and brighter as you get good at something by screwing up. No, this is what Jehovah's Witnesses believe, but this is not brainwashing. There's no method of brainwashing that makes a person think that you get better at something by screwing it up. God sent you to give me a false message. But now that we all know it's false, You're better for it now. And now you can make something else up. That's not how that works. And there's no such thing as a brainwashing that's going to make you think that that's how that works. It's just idiocy. It's just people who are mentally weak. And they rather just go with the, oh, I like the term Jehovah. I want to go with the, hey, that's the name of God. And I want to go with the concept that I'm the only one that knows it and it makes me feel good and everything else will just let it slide. And for some people, it's just they're stupid. It's just they're stupid. It's just they're super gullible. They're super gullible. If it wasn't Jehovah's Witnesses and it was Scientologists that came to their door, they'd be a Scientologist. They're just super gullible. It's not that the person, this whole brainwashing thing. I'll give you another one. The belief that you cannot criticize another human being. And if you criticize just another regular human being just like you, that's capable of getting things wrong or making mistakes, if you criticize them, you are an apostate. If you believe that, you are a dumbass. You are not brainwashed. If a person is telling you things and half the time it's wrong, but then they tell you, you know what, you can't criticize me for getting this stuff wrong, and you believe that, you're not brainwashed. You are a bona fide idiot. There are just people who are just not that smart. Anybody that believes the apostate teaching, that anybody who questions a group of men are apostates, or anybody who doesn't believe what this group of men tell them when they're getting half the stuff wrong is an apostate, you're an idiot. You can be indoctrinated. Something can be taught to you repetitively over and over and over again, while at the same time you being kept away from any information that's contrary to that teaching over a long period of time. That's indoctrination. But brainwashing is a concept to try to explain how you believe things that ain't even in the Bible to have been hammered in your head. It ain't even in the Bible. I can't question Stephen Lett. I can't question Loesch. I can't question Black California Raisin Sam Turd. That's not in the Bible. You couldn't been indoctrinated. It's not even there to indoctrinate you with it. You just a dumbass if you believe a person telling you, you can't question me. Believe whatever it is I tell you, you can't question me. And if anybody else questions me, you ain't allowed to talk to them because you might start thinking and figuring and learning and reading. And we can't have that. You just a dumbass. Back in the day, they would do things to people who tried to learn to read, like slaves. I don't think slaves back in the day were indoctrinated or brainwashed into thinking, well, I better not learn how to read. No, they probably would get in trouble. They probably get whipped, hung, all kinds of things probably would have happened if they would have learned how to read and start to educate themselves and things like that. Jehovah's Witnesses, these are like slaves that you ain't even got to threaten to whip them or hang them or nothing like that. These are slaves. They're like, we better not be doing no reading outside of what they tell us to be reading. We better not be doing none of that learning. Don't be figuring. Just read the Watchtower. It asks a question. Raise your hand, answer that one question. Don't be figuring. Don't be learning and thinking thoughts and doing things and listening to people. Don't be doing that stuff. It's a slave mentality. They're just mentally weak. They're mentally weak enough to be a slave. If slavery was reestablished, they'd be the first person to be banging on a door to be let in for slavery. Like it's mental weakness. Some things are indoctrination. Some things that they were taught that is somewhat in the Bible is indoctrination. About Armageddon, people being afraid of Armageddon. Okay, that makes sense because the concept of a second coming and things like that, they're in the Bible. The concept of death and destruction is in the Bible. There ain't nothing in no Bible that says you can't question a group of men that run a corporation in New York called the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. It doesn't exist in the Bible. It don't exist. Nowhere in the Bible does it exist that God gave them authority. So for them to tell you that Jesus appeared invisibly and I guess told them that he's giving them them authority, for you to believe that, you're a dumbass. You're not that's not even indoctrination. It's not even in the Bible. So you have indoctrination. That's a real thing. And you have stupid people. That's a real thing. Brainwashing, possibly. It's a possibility. Do I think that that's what is going on with Jehovah's Witnesses? No, because they're a bunch of dumbasses. None of them know how to brainwash. None of them know how to brainwash. Brother Pot and Jelly that gets up on the stage and can barely pronounce scriptures, he don't know how to brainwash. He ain't doing nothing but repeating what he read out of a damn magazine or out of some other book. He's parroting things back. That's not brainwashing. That's repetition, yes. But there's certain things you got to be too dumb. You got to be a dumbass to believe that God didn't want people to wear beards, and then all of a sudden now God is cool with beards. You just have to be a dumbass to believe that. That wasn't indoctrination. I mean, that wasn't brainwashing. They're brainwashed to just start growing beards at 70 now. You're just a dumbass. Just tell the truth about the situation. The cult is dying. And it's time to stop empowering stupidity. Don't find words that empower stupidity. Don't enable stupidity. You got people that enable their family members. Their family members are in a cult and they're doing all kind of stupid stuff, and the family members don't want to call them out on it. Don't want to call them out on you just being a dumbass if you believe you can't question a man. This is a regular man that pulls his pants down, and when he tries to pee, misses the toilet half the time and hits the seat just like anybody else, and you can't question him? You're a dumbass if you believe that. That's not indoctrination. That ain't brainwashing. That's pure, good old fashioned. You're a dumbass that feels good calling yourself a Jehovah's Witness. It just feels better to say you're a Jehovah's Witness rather than to say you're just a dumbass. Just a dumbass. Some people are dumbasses. It's okay. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. But it's the concept of brainwashing. Now that's impossible to explain how you got in the damn cult. How they gonna brainwash you and you ain't even been in it yet? You had to got in it somehow if you weren't born in it. So yeah, you're a dumbass. That's what it is. Comment down below. XWall Kill Bethelite signing out.